My piece over the weekend, Nairobi can learn from Jakarta on food subsidies. Once upon a time, well, close to 20 years ago, which might as well mean some fairy tale past given the speed with which the world is turning and turning these days. I was a managing director at Sumitomo Bank and running a repo desk and reporting to the very anglicized Konishi-san, who was my executive chairman. Konishi-san had hired me when I was 30 and made me a managing director. I had assembled a team of 15 that sat in London, New York, and Tokyo. The repo markets in those days were a go-go market, and we were aggressive. And in fact, clients from all over the world knew we embraced taking on positions that others might blink at. Sumitomo Bank had invested in an Indonesian bank, and we did some business there with the Bakri brothers, who were quite a colourful pair and deserving of a column of their own. In that period, 1997 to 1998, East Asia was gripped by a financial crisis, which started with the collapse of the Thai baht. The Indonesian rupiah followed. One morning, Konishi-san called me into his office. The government of Indonesia is requesting a $500 million facility. Can we do it? He asked. They are requesting we visit Jakarta immediately. The next day we were in Jakarta, and in the evening we were in State House with President Suharto, his Minister of Finance, and the Governor of the Central Bank, Konishi-san, and myself. I engaged with the governor and we established we could cobble together enough collateral, and I turned to Konishi-san and said, yes, we can. We were, of course, going to be rewarded very handsomely. And I had persuaded Konishi-san that not only would we make a lot of money, but they would never forget that we had pulled through when everyone was hitting the eject button. Konishi-san sat on the board of the bank in Tokyo and started to call other board members to get their agreement. We were front-running a request to the IMF by the government. And at that moment the phone rings and the minister picks it up, and then he turns to his president and announces, we have got the IMF package, but one of the conditions is that we remove all the food subsidies. The president then turns to all of us and says, well, that means I will be gone in a week. And he was. Such a thing is not something you forget, and from that time I've studied the correlation between food prices and political reactions, and let me tell you that high food prices are typically seriously inimical to the interests of the incumbent government. President Suharto was an extreme example. Now, what is crystal clear is that to date the response to high food prices, and we can discuss another time why we're here in the first place, could best be described as suboptimal, or more accurately, a pig's ear. And in an election year, markets are often characterized as a tug of war between greed and fear. Well, here it appears that greed, profiteering, has triumphed over fear, the political need to win an election. Intelligence reports have this election neck and neck, as does my proprietary rich model, every vote will count. If I were President Kenyatta, I would be dialing up President Enrique Pena Nieto and be ordering all the food supplies directly from him. I would be packaging the unga on the high seas with the right branding and stamping it with a 90 shilling price and dumping it on the local market. It's called risk management. Let me put up a photograph of President Suharto and another one of Jakarta, a sunset in Jakarta, and another photograph of the opposition in Kapsabet.